There's Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my good friend and Hall of Fame promoter, Frank Warren, all the way from New York. Frank, what are you doing over there? I guess would be the place to start.
We've got the press conference tomorrow for the Canelo Scully fight, so we're doing the press conference here.
Okay. And what will your kind of role be in that? Because obviously it's a Riyadh season fight. What
But
will
we
you be
do it
doing?
same as it is for all the Riyadh season fights. We're partners with Seller, and we do all the organisation behind the scenes, and are their promoter partner.
What's it like getting to work more closely with Canelo than perhaps you've done in the past?
I don't know yet. I haven't, we haven't really got into that yet. We've got a bit of a way to go. The press conference tomorrow, and that's it.
All right, fair enough. Now, you guys had a bit of a blow. I mean, it was announced yesterday, but you might have known earlier that Dillian Whyte had suffered an injury in
Yeah.
training and was unable to fight Joe Joyce. What was your initial reaction to the news?
Well, very disappointed, but he's got a terrible cut on his finger, an injury on his finger, so there's no way he'd be able to spar or anything. So he's out, unfortunately for him and for Joe. So we're looking at a couple of new opponents at the moment.
Before we get on to Joe, what does this mean for Dillian? Is it a fight that will be rescheduled? Will you work with Dillian going forward?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll sort something out when he's ready to go. But in the meantime, we've got to focus on ensuring we get an opponent in for Joe.
And there was some
Obviously he's very disappointed.
There's a report today from Boxing News, I believe it was, saying that Filip Hrgović has accepted to fill in and fight Joe, which, with all due respect to Dillian, seems like a tougher fight for Joe. Is that likely?
At the moment, we're talking to a couple of people and waiting to get the contract signed before we announce anything.
It'd be good, though, wouldn't it, I suppose, from a fan's point of view, if you were able to bring in an opponent who was considered, a tougher test than Dillian Whyte?
Well, Joe's. This is a tough fight for Joe. Ever he fights. This is a moment in his career where he's got to win his next fight, and for us, replacing the main event with one of the fighters being out, we've got to come up with somebody who the public are going to know and it's going to appeal to.
If it was someone like Hrgović, world-rated fighter, only lost to Daniel Dubois,
Yeah, be a world-rated fighter. Whoever he fights, he'll be a world-rated fighter.
but in that case, someone who's only lost to Daniel Dubois, a formidable opponent, Joe could, in essence, perhaps lose that fight and still continue with his career, whereas a loss against Dillian might have been curtains.
Well, that we'll see. We'll see who it is first of all, who he's going to fight. That's if he does fight him. At the moment, as I say, we're talking to a couple of people.
Just in connection with that, because we don't know who the other people are, what do you make of Hrgović having, presumably studied him before he fought Daniel and then seen the fight itself?
What do I think of? He's a good fighter. I mean, that goes without saying. He's a very good fighter. And Daniel done a fabulous job, but he was dangerous during that fight, as he is in all of his fights.
You're in a good position at Queensbury when a heavyweight fight falls out, I suppose, in that you've got pretty much every heavyweight in the top 15 at the moment.
Well, we've got a few of them. A few of them on the books. But we'll sort something out, which it won't be a disappointment for the fans. That's for sure.
I saw a few suggestions of a couple of your other heavyweights stepping in to fight Joe, namely David Adelaide and Fabio Wardley. Did you consider either of those two names a little in-house fight?
We've looked at all of them, but what you got to remember, they're also involved in fights at the moment. David's on the undercard anyway. He's fighting for the British title.
And Fabio?
We're about to announce his fight, which I think I mentioned to you the last time we spoke. We was just getting it over the line, and we'll be announcing that. He's
And
got a
it,
quite a big fight coming up.
when you say quite a big fight, the rumor mill suggests that it could be Kubrat Pulev for the WBA belt. Anything you can say?
There's all these rumours. There's rumours
I'm a
everywhere.
gossip. What can I
Rumours
tell
mean
you?
nothing. Got to wait till you get a signed contract before you can announce them. We've been guilty of that in the past, announcing things, and then it all goes tits up and everybody moans. So we'll wait till we got it signed.
I mean, it'd be a good fight for Fabio at this stage of his career, is all I'd say about it. Pulev's not the fighter he was, but still good enough to teach him a thing or two, give him a lot of rounds.
Well, they're all dangerous, all these guys. I mean, they're big men and they're big punchers, and all these up and coming ones, the new kids or the new fellas on the block, they've got to go and prove themselves against some of these names from the, been around for a while, experienced heavyweights and experienced fighters. It's the heavyweight division is really lively at the moment. It's a fantastic place.
Now, talking of the heavyweight division, last we saw of Daniel Dubois was obviously fight week out in Riyadh. He was forced to pull out of the fight with Joseph Parker due to an illness on the week of the fight. Actually spoke to his dad on fight night, on the Saturday night, but they were already on the way home. They were nearly at home at that point. And he just said the illness was pretty severe. There was no choice but to pull him out. Have you spoken to the team or Daniel himself since, and how's he doing?
Yeah, I see him on Monday before I flew out here. So how is he? He's recovering, and he's eager to get back into the ring again, having basically worked very hard and spent a fortune on a training camp for a fight that didn't happen. As is Don, his trainer and his dad, and everybody around him, and including ourselves. So we're working on that, and he'll probably be out in the summer.
And what is your plan for him? Because a number of fans were calling for him to fulfill the Parker obligation, quote unquote. But if there's an opportunity to have an undisputed fight and a rematch with Usyk, he'd be mad not to.
Well, what's the harder fight, Joe Parker or Usyk?
I mean, they're both incredibly hard, but Usyk's harder, I would
What's
say.
the bigger fight?
Oh, Usyk, obviously.
Well, so what's the no-brainer? I don't get where anybody's brains can be on this. You know, if he ain't ducking anyone, if the objective of the fight that unfortunately got didn't take place was the winner was going to fight Usyk.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So it didn't happen, and we are where we are now. So if the Usyk fight can be made, it will be made.
How far along the line are you with that at the moment?
We're talking.
Okay. And what could the future hold then for Joseph Parker? I think everyone wants it to be a big
Joseph
fight.
Parker is the mandatory challenger. For the WBO, and he's in a great position. He's now the interim champion.
So
So
then
he's in a
he'll.
great position.
So could he? Is there a potential that he's first up for the winner of the Usyk Dubois rematch?
Whenever that is a really strong possibility.
And
He's in a great position.
in the meantime, a lot of people have said they'd like to see him against another big winner on that show in Ajit Kabayel. But I saw Lawrence Okoli, another one of your guys, talking about Kabayel as well. He's got his own fight first with Richard Riakporhe. What do you see as the future for Kabayel potentially against one of your guys?
I see him involved in some really big fights. He's in a great position. He's now a number one. Got himself in a great spot. That's what this was all about. Guiding and delivering these fights to give these guys the opportunity to fight for world titles. That's what will happen for them all.
Now, if Usyk Dubois rematch does come off, apart from what you would hope for a better refereeing performance, what else needs to change for Dubois to become victorious this time?
Nothing. He's done everything he needs to do. He's changed a lot from that fight. He's grown up a lot. We've seen him in his last three performances that he's had. Um, this is a different Daniel Dubois, and this will be. I believe this could be his time.
Does he need to, like tactically, I mean, does he need to kind of crowd him more? Does he need to target the body more? That was seen as a weakness.
He needs to be the boss in there. That's what you need to do when you fight Usyk. You need to be the boss. You need to push him back and be the boss. And I believe he's capable of doing that.
Now, when Dubois was forced out of the fight against Parker, a number of old criticisms reared their ugly heads. I'm sure you're not surprised. I think maybe you've already
Do you
discussed that.
know what? I couldn't give a flying fuck about any of that bullshit. I don't even want to hear it. The man was pulled out by the British Boxing Board of Control's doctor. End of story. Anybody who wants to look any deeper than that are morons. And the question is, pretty to be honest, Dan, is moronic as well. The doctor pulled him out. It's in writing. Wrote to us, he cannot fight. That's the end of it. The
Does
doctor
it
says he can't fight. That's the end of it.
does it frustrate you that there seems to be a section of the public who will always doubt Daniel, or always criticise him?
I couldn't give a shit about what they think, people, trolls and idiots. I have no, I know I've got my own eyeballs. I'm involved in the business. I know what I'm looking at. And I don't need some idiot who's sitting in his mum's bedroom having not left home and his string vest, eating his pot noodles, telling me what I should be doing with my fighters.
You've painted a very specific and not particularly nice picture there, Frank, but I'll try and keep that out of my
No,
brain
yeah,
when I go to
yeah.
sleep tonight.
You better let them know that mum's cleaning the bedroom next week.
Yeah, so clear out under the bed. Um, Next week, you've got a big show. Is it your final show on TNT? The Nick Ball headline
Yes, it is. That's our last show. Then we move over to DAZN.
bidding farewell with what could be a very action-packed main
It's a
event in
cracking
Liverpool.
show. It's a really good show. Our young gladiator is there along with his fellow stablemates and other great fighters from up in the area. It's a real hotbed up there. The tickets have gone really well. It's going to be a fabulous night.
How much of the reason for picking TJ Dehaney as Ball's next opponent was due to the fact that he has just gone a number of rounds with Inoue and there's like a measuring stick there that you can use?
Yeah, but it is. That's part of it. You can gauge and see where you are. I mean, the objective is to try and get the Inui fight end of this year, early next year. That's been the game plan.
Do you feel like Nick Ball needs to stop him earlier than Inoue did in that case?
No, it just needs to beat him.
Fair enough. Um, Given this is the last show on your deal with TNT, how do you reflect on the time you spent there?
Well, it started off with BT before
Yeah.
TNT took over. I think we've done brilliantly for them. I mean, we went into we got involved with them. They had no boxing on their channel whatsoever, and I think within a very short space of time, all the things we said that we would do, we did. We told them that we would have the strongest heavyweight situation, that they would basically be the channel for heavyweight boxing, which is the case. Um, that we would be bringing through a host of young fighters that we've invested in for the last 6 years, and that's happening. And at that stage we're leaving, I think they have the strongest representation in boxing. Now that all transfers over to the zone, which is the place to be now. And luckily for the fans, they only have to pay for one subscription now.
And with that in mind, now the deal's done, how hard did TNT kind of fight to keep you guys there?
Um, we have a very good relationship. We've not left under bad terms or anything. We had a very, very good relationship there, and it's just that they couldn't deliver what we needed to take it even further.
Do you think they'll stay in boxing now you're going?
I have no idea.
You've been around a long time, you've been with several different TV companies. What do you think they'll do boxing wise?
I don't know. They may show some fights. I think they really are focusing more on other sports. I think now that the decision's been that we've made our decision, I think they're focused on what they've got, which is the cricket, rugby, and obviously the European football is a big thing for them, and some Premiership.
And going back to the Riyadh season show, give us an update if you can on Hamzah Sheeraz and his injury.
Um, I see him again last Friday. He came up with his father, and we had quite a good conversation. And his hands banged up. It's going to just be a healing process. He's going up to see it's Ramadan now, so he's obviously he's no training or anything. But he's going up to see uh, a specialist in Manchester, uh, Mike, and
Mike Hayton.
yeah, and get his hand looked at, and then he'll be out sometime during the summer.
How likely is a
And
rematch?
and he also will go up a weight.
Oh, okay. So unlikely then a rematch. That answers my
No,
question.
he struggled. I mean, he could, I don't know how he makes the weight, but he's struggling to make the weight.
Who were you aiming at in the super middleweight division? Is there a particular fight?
Not at this moment in time. I'll let him bed himself down first in that division.
I mean, it helps that he'll now be in the same division as Canelo. There was talk about that fight in 2026 potentially.
Yeah, yeah, but he's got to get himself into a position where he's got, hopefully he'll win a title.
Now, I have to ask about the Shiraz fight because this is something that was made quite a big issue on social media. And I didn't see it during the show itself, but there was an issue apparently with His Excellency talking to the corner of Hamza during the fight. What's your take on that?
I don't know what the problem is. What is the problem?
The people were saying that HE was telling Hamza's corner the scores to kind of encourage him to, I don't know, put forward more of an
Well, I
effort.
did that. I ran that. I went round before him. I went round before that happened, and I told him, you need to win the next 3 rounds," which he did need to do. Watch it. Didn't have the scores. We watched the fights, and that's an opinion. And obviously, he ran round. He went round there as well to give his encouragement to him. If you look in those rounds, I mean, although he was struggling, like he had the big problem with the hand, he actually did well in those last couple of rounds.
How did you score the fight in the end?
I thought he'd done enough to win it. But I looked it back; it was a very, very close fight, and if he'd have held the other guy's hand up, I don't think there could have been any complaints.
Now, last week we saw the press conference tour. I don't know if you can call it a tour, as there was only 2 stops, but Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, a fight that you said I think that you'd watch it when I asked you previously, but you didn't seem overly excited about it. What did you make of the events in the press tour, and did they get you more intrigued by the fight?
No, it doesn't. The fight is what it is. I mean, all that rubbish that goes on outside the ring goes outside the ring. On the all that matters is what happens inside the ring, and the fight is what it is and what it was a couple of years ago.
Have you ever seen or experienced in one of your press conferences someone getting attacked with an egg or some other food staple food?
I've seen stupid things happen at press conferences. But stupid people do stupid things.
Yeah, well, we know there's no love lost between yourself and Chris Eubank Jr. But what did you make? How much can you tell about the fighters' mindsets from what we saw in that face-off? Obviously Eubank Jr., as you said, doing a silly thing, but Ben was absolutely enraged.
Of course, he will. You wouldn't be enraged. Someone hits you with an egg. Even John Prescott was
Oh
enraged
yeah,
when he with an egg, and he was a
he
government
landed a shot
minister
in
at the time.
return.
Yeah, and he was a government minister at the time. Um, it is what it is. The fight, you know, Denzel Denzel Bentley and Hamza. I'd like to see him fight either of them, especially Chris Eubanks, because both of them would beat him. Both
Why?
of them would beat
Why
him.
especially Chris Eubank?
Why? Because he's the guy. He's the bigger guy out of the two of them.
And when I spoke to you last about Eubank, you'd just issued proceedings. You said, just without going into detail, because I know you can't. Is that still an ongoing process?
Yeah, yeah. We reached an agreement, and he withdrew his remarks. Then he reposted them all again. So that's why he got sued.
You said silly people do silly things. could
Well,
could could be taking 2 big defeats this year, perhaps.
well, whatever. But the fact of life is, he's got his fight, and they're you know they're lucky to be in the position they're in. The two boys, through their parents' legacy. That's really why it's there.
Is there any disappointment? I mean, not from you because you're not promoting it, but any disappointment that Eubank's dad's not involved so far? Only Nigel Benn out of the 2 dads.
I don't even care who's involved. I have no interest in that whatsoever.
Fair enough. One more question on it. Eddie Hearn got into it with Ben Shalom during the fracas after the egg slap, as it's now being called. Who would your money be on in a straightener or even in a boxing ring between Hearn and Shalom?
Oh, well, I, I think that's pretty much a no-brainer, that one, isn't it?
Well, no, tell us anyway, just in case. I might be a no-brainer. Some of our viewers might be. So
Well, first of all, you'd have to get one of them in the ring.
which one would that be, Frank? I take it you're
Use your
backing Eddie Hearn then,
imagination.
because you always said that if it was you and Eddie Hearn in a room, you'd be the one coming out. So in this case, do you back your old rival against Shalom, the younger man?
Yeah, I would. I would think so. I would think so. Yeah, definitely.
Just one more quick one on Ben Shalom. Again, someone you don't have a lot of time for, it's fair to say. Talksport posted an article saying that Shalom had renewed his contract with Sky Sports, and that was swiftly taken down. Anything you're hearing on the rumour mill about that?
No, I didn't even know he posted that. There's all sorts of rumours going on, aren't they? They're all, you know. I've got to be honest with you, Dan. I couldn't give a toss about what Ben Shalom, whether it gets renewed or not. It makes no difference whatsoever to my life or to what I do. I don't really care. All I care about is what we do. And, it'd be a terrible thing if Sky are out of boxing. And if they are out of boxing, he's another one of those guys who over the years have had TV contracts and not been able to deliver properly, if
If
that's the
Squire
case.
did leave boxing, as you said, it'd be a terrible shame. Would you blame Boxer for that, or would it more be just a loss of appetite for the sport from Sky?
I think you've got to ask them that question.
Or if and when they leave the sport, I will. I just wanted to get your take on it because obviously when you left Sky to set up Box Nation, they didn't immediately pull out of the sport.
Well, they were. That's the reason we did it. And then BT came into being, and they had a change of heart. But I'd left 9 months before that.
Ah, okay. How do you reflect on where you are now,
That's when they were
Tyson?
offering. That's what in those days when they were offering four promoters, 8 shows each, and the total TV fee for all of the shows was 800 grand each.
Wow.
So that was a no-brainer to leave.
Without giving away too much kind of confidential detail, can you give us an idea of how much that fee or that budget has gone up since those days?
I've got no idea. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the budget is. I don't know what they're. I mean, it'd be nowhere near that. I mean,
No.
obviously it'd be much more than that. That was that when they offered that, that was the signal for me that they were on the way out. And at that time, Barney Francis, actually told me that they were winding it down.
You must feel pretty at home at the Zone now. The amount of money they're putting into boxing, all the different promoters they're working with, seems like the best place to be for a promoter.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best place. It's easy to make the fights. The people there, there's some people who've been there from the beginning who are very, very, very well respected. There's a lot of new people there as well who I've some of them I've worked with over the years who I've got a lot of respect for, and I'm looking forward to what we're doing there. It's a great challenge, and I think it's exciting times for boxing that everybody's on the same platform, or most people are on the same platform because it'll enable us to be easier to make the fights.
Good stuff. Have you spoken to Tyson recently?
I spoke with him over the weekend.
How's he doing?
He's doing well. He's very happy. He's got a lot of projects on, which he's very excited about. So good for him.
Given the stuff that he's had in his past when he hasn't been boxing, how relieved are you that he seems to be quite content? I mean, it's early days, but quite content in retirement.
I think it's great. I think it's great for him. And I think it's great for his family because it makes life easier for all of them.
Yeah, agreed. And just before I let you go, there was talk of him fighting Joshua. That's clearly not happening now with Fury in retirement. Who or what might you have for Anthony Joshua?
We've got a selection.
Can he pick and choose?
He can pick and choose. Yeah.
Any of
I've
your
got,
heavyweights?
Georgia, I think, is going to be speaking to Eddie about some things, and I'm sure that's on the agenda.
Great stuff. Frank, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the experience with Canelo and Scull. And yeah, don't get into his ear too much. Can't be having all the top talent under Queensbury.
No, no, he's part of the Riyadh season.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. God bless you, and
And you,
I'll
Frank.
speak to you soon, Dan. See
Take
you,
care,
mate.
mate.
Thank
Speak
you.
soon. Bye bye.
Bye.